Yes. I can give you a second to kind of read through it, you know, so I'm not like imposing my my reading of it. But
right. So it's I see the one about the penal code, and then
yes.
the one about the bank accounts wasn't responded to. That's not yet.
Yes. So the order that it came in was the right to property is no longer needed because this other stuff is going to resolve it, right? Because inherently right to property means everything is inherently legal now as a consequence of things not magically becoming illegal. I'd say the next one to take a look at, yes, is the penal code one. So penal code one was responded to, and the judicial powers. So
I see that. That's the one I'm more interested in even.
the judicial powers?
Yeah, I think that's just so all-encompassing. I mean, I care about the penal code stuff, but I think that's a lot more like individual little changes.
No. So the penal code one actually has the reason. So the penal code one pretty much says, y'all fucked up. The penal code's getting reviewed. And then the judicial powers one says, update the penal code so that judges can read, like, can follow directions better. So.
But the judicial review one that I was concerned about was specifically the fact that the fact that it says that the justices can change the penal code whenever they feel like it. So
yeah,
is that not the case anymore? Yeah,
correct. So the penal code change in there, it's saying none of the TLDR is says in there that none of that stuff should have changed outside of the outside of legislative process. And as a side effect of this, the remedy to this is now we're going to get to review it and push our changes to the state, which will then approve it. So
okay. But does that, like, I know that changes what was the case in the past, like the penal code changes that have already happened that have been bad, but does it change the wording of the judicial, like,
yes,
did the governor say we can change that wording to say they can't just say, oh, we can change it?
Yeah, so so pretty much the answer that is given in the penal code one is the same philosophy that will be used to update the judicial review. So, for example, we'll be able to go in there and be like, DOJ will be the mechanism by which it changes as long as laws follow the, you know, da-da-da-da-da. Like, you know what I mean?
It's very much like you're writing this for someone who barely understands English. Like, we have to make sure that everything is perfectly laid out so that there's no... It's like what is it?
Child-proofing the fucking
the gutters?
legislation.
Yeah. Yep.
Oh, putting yeah. For the leaves and shit.
So yeah, so I guess the question at that point is great. It does seem to leave open the possibility of, and I didn't like it, you know, just to be honest, I didn't like it when the governor said that basically if someone's in the cells and pleads guilty, that's enough of a judicial matter that the DOJ can then...
We don't need to worry. Yeah, we don't need to worry with that. So it kind of goes into depth.
Anything besides case law?
So the way it's going to work is, and this is actually fantastic. Option one is case law. And case law is it goes through court. But when it comes to case law, we can still contest it and audit it. So, for example, let's say a jump boot was found on someone, they went to trial, and they're like, yo, that's criminal possession, right? And now they're like, okay, from this case law, jump boots are now illegal. We can still go back and contest it and be like, what are you talking about? No, it's not. All it does is da-da-da-da-da. And so we can still challenge it. The second option, and the governor goes into that in detail, and I did also get clarifying background on some of this, right? Is that you'll see the second option is without a full judicial hearing, they can propose legislation that beyond a reasonable doubt says So there's a example of an RPG in there. So he'll say, well, if you find an RPG, you can say the RPG is illegal by detailing out like the caliber and da-da-da. You could say, so for example, the legislation would be like, we are making the Anti-RPG Act as 1911s are illegal due to unknown number. Nino.
Hi, Mr. Nino. I mean, I'm sorry. I should have said.
Can you call me
Mayor
back?
Nino?
Do you mind calling me back in a little bit? I'm
Yes. How long? Yeah. How long?
15 minutes. Is there? Why call on the unknown?
I'm a lifer, sir, and I just have something to ask you.
Oh, understandable.
Yeah, it's nothing.
Yes,
it's
sir,
nothing
Mr.
serious.
Lifer.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
All right, anytime. Hey, let people know to vote for me.
Oh, of course, sir.
Hey, thank you so much.
I am the king of Bolingbrook. I'll let all my lackeys know.
Oh, wait, what do you go by?
Sir, my name is Xander Clemmings, the king of Bolingbrook.
Oh.
I've been here. Yeah, I've been here for about a year. So
Hell yeah.
Yeah, just
Hey.
getting out of solitary.
I feel that.
All right. I'll call you in 15,
right.
sir.
All right, you take care. Bye.
Thank you.
Sorry about that.
Was that DC?
You called me out once where I listened to
yeah.
people and then I just kind of try to make it seem like it's acknowledged.
I do the same thing. I think
Yeah.
that's totally understandable.
I don't want to. What it is I don't want to lose my, because we have an active thread open right now. Yeah, I don't want to break it.
Makes sense.
So he gave an example of like an RPG. Let's say someone is arrested, they had an RPG on them, regardless of, and then it's not charged. If that was then presented to, the DOJ found out about this because it is a judicial matter, they could make the Anti-RPG Act and in there use police reports, references to, fucking a 1911 has been seen to hurt people with 19 millimeter. This is an RPG that can be used for this same sort of crime, but has like 10 times the amount of devastation. And therefore, we're going to categorize this as a class 3 firearm, right? They can do that, but it's going to be in legislation through the legislative process. Not the bullshit that Weiss was.
Be like, oh, but what if people contest it because they're criminals and everyone's a criminal?
What if these people that I never speak to do something that it won't affect me because I'm, playing golf somewhere?
Yeah, I think more of the issue with that is that if the DOJ has to actually legislate that stuff, now they actually need to have at least the majority sign the legislation, and I don't think they can get that many of them to actually physically put a pen on paper.
Yes, I certainly agree. I mean, it took them 6 months to push the Nana Banana case law, which is insanity. Insanity.
Yeah, that's crazy. I'm curious how we will manage the fact that it seems like it creates more opportunities for more legislation when one of the big things we're trying to do is codify everything in a way that doesn't require so much legislation.
Well, technically,
or at least puts it all in a
No. So I would argue that they should not be making, I was using it as an example, but like, if it was an RPG, you would want to update the weapon and driver license one, which they haven't even done for class 2s yet. So like a lot of this stuff that they keep changing, they're like, oh my God, a charge doesn't exist. The reality is that they're not even half-assing it. They're not even quarter cheeking it. They're like one ass hairing it. Cause if you look at the weapon and driver license thing, it's never been updated, right? Yeah. Like all they got to do is like literally add a line in there for what is class 1, what is class 2, what is class 3, what is possession, what is So if they had just been doing that work, like literally they add that one line, they post it up as an amendment to the weapon and driver's license stuff as like under the prohibition list, right? And a description of why that RPG's in the prohibition list and why, and done. You know what I mean?
So they would have to essentially, it would be a change in the legislative process where, rather than the, like, if you have the idea of, okay, I want RPGs to be class 3 weapons and therefore illegal,
Yeah.
you would still have to justify it, with, like a whole, uh, set of, investigative backing and case law and everything like that, right? But then all of that justification doesn't necessarily go into the legislation because we don't want
E-
the legislation to be like, a
well,
huge paragraph for every single
well,
class 2 weapon being like, this is
maybe.
like a 1911 but worse.
I think they can, because the legislative reasoning should be generic enough that the reasoning for a weapon and driver's license or whatever is like the weapon category should be talking generically, like weapons are registered, right? But the illegal trade of weapons cannot happen. And based on the caliber, there may be higher levels of safety concerns. And then in the actual content of it, where we're talking about class 3 firearms, and in that list of prohibition, you would add where you might already have sniper rifles saying 50 caliber at that speed, highly devastating. That's why it's class 3.
Yeah.
You would put RPG and a 2-3 sentence, like just a line, not more than it cuts 2 lines. You put that thing in. So effectively,
I like that. Yeah. Could we at that point essentially? I think it was Grayson that was talking about making, maybe Roselle, about basically making the penal code into more of a code rather than a bunch of charges that are based on individual situations.
Correct.
And could be connected to one another.
Yes.
It's instead, right now it'd be like, oh, now it's charged for use of a rocket launcher.
Yes.
As opposed to that now they have use of a chemical weapon or like canister or something, and then the other one is use of a explosive, but we can't call a chemical weapon an explosive like a smoke bomb or something because technically it's slightly different. And so instead of expanding the explosives guideline, we're going to add a different charge, and let's add a different charge for FIB documents, or I think more simplified, more it makes sense to me that the specificity is more a matter of case law than of new charges.
Yeah, I think so yeah, I think there's been a couple people involved in it. I'd say like Barrett, myself, Michael, and Nathaniel. I think you've been involved in that too. Is we gotta reduce things down, and I think a big part of it is like as we're learning things like collectively, we're seeing what's working and what's not working, and I think with that expertise, we can take that and apply it to like reduce things down a bit so they still make sense, but aren't like 50 things long. I will say that we have a really good idea, Michael and I, but we're not just about ready to present it, but it's I think you're gonna like it a lot. I think we kind of cooked, and it came out good.
I hope I have the opportunity to engage with it.
Yes. Well, listen, Princess, look, whatever happens, right? I think one thing that I want to make very clear is you have been the most cooperative mayor that I've worked with in the last 9 months. Genuinely.
I appreciate that. And I hope that that's, at least in terms of my constituency, I hope that is an active role that I am taking and not I sometimes worry that I am, falling into agreeing to things, too easily. But I do try to think things out and actually decide.
No.
It's not I don't try to be acquiescent.
Yeah, no, of course.
I think you just have really good ideas, and so does Roselle, and so does Grayson, and so I agree with a lot of them, and I want to work with them.
I think the reality, and I think a lot of it is over time. There is a common enemy, and that common enemy has been the lack of transparency in government, and just not like the law working against the people, not just felons. And I think you know, I think it's easy to find commonality in that. But I will say that, you know, let's say the election does not go your way. You know, I think that you know, that doesn't stop you from working with us, working with Blaine County, and we can, you know, we keep that. Things can be figured out. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I think.
Sure.
Yeah, I don't.
And I want to help in every way that I can, no matter what happens.
Yeah.
This is already like, you know, just seeing the responses of the governor and all this. It's already. It feels good knowing that things are in the process of change.
Yes, I agree. I genuinely think this is the biggest win that the people could have gotten in a very long time, right? It's and the biggest thing is, right, is I've been pointing this thing out about the penal code since day one, I swear, and kept being told no, doesn't make sense, I don't know what you're talking about, even though, like you said, it's like in plain English. But now it's affirmed in official documents, and it can't happen again. That's huge. Yeah,
absolutely.
But
it does. I am curious your thoughts on, like, there are certain legislative pieces that. I'll give you an example. Sudi has asked me to write legislation for regulating fireworks, because she wants to start a business, or she has already been approved for a business that manufactures fireworks for events and stuff like that. And she wants it to be, obviously, they're, you know, dangerous if used incorrectly. So, you know, she asked, can I make legislation that, you know, regulates fireworks? And
yeah, absolutely.
That's obviously necessary, right, if there's going to be fireworks. But I don't want to clutter the already cluttered
I'd say don't worry about it. When you hear what Michael and I cooked up, it is going to, as long as everyone's on board, and I'm going to be surprised if people aren't. It's genuinely genius. It will resolve all that. So I would say if there's a place for it, you should put it in there, but don't worry about the clutter, because there will be a place. You know what I mean?
That's good.
Yeah.
That is very good.
Yeah, like, I don't think we slow down progress in lieu of, let's say, a legislative refactor. You know what I mean? Because who knows how long that could take.
There's a million things we could legislate that, like, you know, I know we've both done it, where we've legislated things that don't necessarily have infrastructure to back them, but we legislate them in the hopes that that provides some incentive
like
for that
pets.
Infrastructure. Yeah, exactly. There's a lot of stuff we could do that with. But, you know, I guess to some extent it's clutter for things that don't even matter at the moment.
Yeah.
I honestly think the best method of like the biggest issue for the clutter currently, and I think one that is very easily fixed, is there are so many acts that are separate for Blaine County and Los Santos County that just need to become, like, that I would just sign on to, right? Like, you know, for pets and stuff. That doesn't necessarily need to be a totally different set of guidelines for both counties.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. You know what? Maybe idea. Maybe it goes into a ordinance thing. Like city ordinances, right? And Article 1, fireworks.
Interesting.
Yeah. Like sort of like a catch-all for exception. Like, I don't know if ordinance is even the right word. It sounds like it's right. But
it does sound like it's right. And I get what you're saying. Yeah, for certain, like,
miscellaneous sort of like exceptions to the norm type thing.
Yeah. Yeah, bylaws.
Yeah, is that what that is? That might be right too. I don't know. These sound like legal words that sound good when we say them, but I don't know if they actually fucking mean.
Well, you know, I guess the only if we don't know.
Michael,
which
where
is
are
which,
you?
he's in
Michael!
my head. He says I'm right.
Oh, it is a
Because he said
bylaw?
it.
All right.
Yes.
All right. Okay.
Local bylaws.
I don't know. You know, he's
I
mad at
accept
me
all laws,
because
by or
I'm
otherwise.
replacing him with AI soon. You know, just don't tell
Oh
him
my
that.
goodness, really?
Yeah.
How did you do that? AI is
Well,
not as smart.
so he takes a. It's not well. It can talk to you now.
Oh, so he takes a break?
Yeah.
That's maybe smart, yeah.
Yeah. I'm only
that's
kidding.
True.
No, actually, AI is
I
so
don't know.
fucking scary.
I feel like you should
we need like
mandate him a
anti.
break.
I think he's a. I think he likes the pain like myself, you know, and you know, I can.
I didn't need to know that.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure you've experienced it, right? Like solving problems and like those kind of problems. Yeah, they're painful. Yeah, but they also make you feel alive. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I feel like there's a slight difference though between like enjoying solving a puzzle and liking the pain. I wouldn't say puzzles are painful.
Sure. Yeah, no, I would agree with that. I think it's in that same space. Yeah.
Yeah.
Solving problems.
Semantics.
Yeah. It's like there was since Saturday we were dealing with you're putting a fucking, you know, jigsaw together. We didn't know where the fucking like piece was, you know? And you know, someone kept telling us, gaswising us into believing that that piece was never in the box. We're like, what do you mean? It's a puzzle. There's a missing piece. There's a hole in the picture. It's like, no, that's you know, no, that piece doesn't come with it. Yeah, exactly. So, and now we got the piece.
Come on, we nearly finished it. All the tables would have started from the beginning.
Yeah. All right.
Yep.
Okay. All right. Oh fuck. All right. Oh shit. Yeah. All right. Okay. Good shit. Well, anything else you want to discuss?
There's the thing that I was mentioning about the people's court kind of thing. So this is what I have this idea to do with BCSO, right? Because people have this whole issue of certain BCSO deputies being corrupt, and that kind of people have said like, oh, the police operate like a gang, you know, all that.
Oh, I know nothing about that.
Yeah. So here's what I had thought is that if an individual feels as if they have been wronged or had the rights violated by a member of the BCSO, they can bring that to the people's court. And what that will be is they will be summoned to court. The BCSO deputy that has wronged them will be summoned to court. We will pick a random jury, and I have to figure out exactly how it's going to work, but I want to make sure that there's an even number of like people who have clean records, people who don't have clean records, people who work in government. You know, maybe one of each. We just have a 3-person jury, and it's randomly chosen from like the Lemon list or something. So that jury will hear out both sides of, you know, the issue, and they will decide whether the action was a rights violation or not. The mayor will preside.
I can't. Nah, hell no.
You know, so in the case that they decide that like, oh, we just didn't like that person, so we're gonna give them, you know, say that it was a rights violation or not. It'll mitigate that factor because the mayor can be like, okay, well, you're all idiots, you know. This doesn't work. But then here's the interesting part, right? Is that the way that the results will work, it will be, it's not going to be like DAPS or anything. It's not going to be like this person gets fired, because I don't have the ability to fire BCSO deputies, nor would I want to, because I think it's more of an internal thing. But every time someone gets found guilty in people's court, anytime like a deputy gets found guilty in the people's court, it will give demerits for the entirety of BCSO. So they'll get like a point. If they get a certain number of points, collectively, their pay will get docked a certain amount. They'll be able to make up that pay. I was thinking by having, like, you know, if you want the merits to fall off, then you host an event in Blaine County, fishing jamboree, hunting tournament, something like that. That will decrease your demerits. But if the BCSO gets enough demerits,
This sounds like
I replace the sheriff. So
Oh.
it incentivizes the sheriff
Oh, hey,
to pick
hold up.
high command of people who are actually going to be not corrupt,
Yeah.
and to incentivize, like, you know, deputies to do good and not violate people's rights. I'm gonna leave all the eternal punishments up to them. So if someone gets a demerit, will they get suspended? I don't know. That's gonna be up to BCSO. They can decide whether they want to, like, not give that person any sort of you know, punishment internally, but hope that the sort of the burden of knowing that your actions affect the entirety of the BCSO.
That sounds amazing, to be honest.
I think it could be really cool and a good way for. I think right now it's like if a criminal feels like their rights have been violated, and often they have. Like in J. Hobbs' situation, I think his rights were violated. But it's not enough for it to go to a marshal, because they don't care.
I will say, knowing some things, I think they do. I think we are not hearing about it.
I fully believe that the marshals care, but I also, like, having been in DOC, I know that there are certain things that are below the threshold of significance where you just can't. And it's not necessarily that they're insignificant, but, like, for example, we had
the car door thing you were saying.
Yeah, that's one of them. That's Duncan's thing. I think that, you know, even, like, people getting beaten up in the cells, like, if it affects one person and it's not, like, 5 people go to Barrett and say, hey, Quangle beat me up in the cells, then he might care, you know, more. But in DLC, we had one guard who would constantly threaten to kill lifers, right? And each time it happened, it's not enough to go to an ACR, because if you go to an ACR as a lifer, especially, and say, hey, this DOC guard threatened to kill me, and then the DOC guard just has to say, well, no, I didn't. And then it's your word against theirs, doesn't matter. Even if it keeps going on, the argument's always gonna be, well, they didn't pass that line. You know, they didn't kill anyone. They just said some stuff and people felt threatened by it. But it's something that
Wait, that guy just took his shirt off. He's been waiting for us, and then now he's taking his shirt off. You notice the guy in the back?
Or, you know, as we say in DOC, they get bitch points. They're not going to get fired. And unless they get fired, the criminal is not going to feel vindicated. They're not going to feel like, because what they see it is, if you get a DAP, it's like, no, don't do that. And then everyone just ignores it again. Right? So they feel like a DAP is just a cheap way of the police saying, like, okay, we took care of it. And then even a suspension.
I'll say, even from my own experience, when I've run into things, I never want anyone to get, like, fired.
Yeah.
Like, if it's real bad, a suspension, even for the day, right? It's like, oh, no, 3-hour suspension. Oh, no, what am I going to do being alone in the world with all sort of things that we're doing? You know what I'm saying? I sometimes, honestly, I just want someone to be like, I apologize. Maybe this was my POV. Sure. That's it. But
for sure,
I feel like 99% of issues that are brought up to the PD, irrespective of department, quite frankly, we as non-cops don't hear what happened when we're the ones who are supposed to. How do we get our where's our justice, right?
Yeah,
because
for sure.
and that, like, I don't want to go to civ court. I don't want to civil action. I don't want to do a lawsuit. I just want hey, this happened. It's not going to happen again. We apologize. That's it. You know what I mean? Whether it's a car 100%. Door or, like, whatever it is. You know what I mean?
100%. And I think that I think it's important. Also, I think, to be honest, even suspensions, I think a lot of the police that do corrupt things will essentially see suspension as an opportunity for, like, a day off, or like a day of doing silly stuff out, like, you know, off duty, and then they go back to doing the exact same corrupt things again. And so I think that, honestly, like, an apology matters more, and having this sort of, like, I think the benefit of this people's court thing is that it wouldn't be like a month-long process of getting a bunch
Yeah.
of lawyers together and getting a bunch of
True.
people dealing with it, and then
Yeah.
when it's over, it's like someone's life is ruined, right?
You know, Mhm.
This feels simpler and fast, and it will be okay. You have an issue, you brought the issue to court. You know going into it that either they're going to get the merits or they're not going to get the merits. If they get the merits, you have contributed to a potential for like you've contributed directly to them losing pay and the sheriff getting replaced. You haven't done it entirely, because it's going to be a bunch of demerits that are required for that stuff, but they are more cognizant of that number than they were before. They are aware that
Yeah.
there's one less corrupt act that has to be completed for them to lose what they have.
This sounds very so. Man, this is at the end of this my second term. We wanted to do what we called, because it was solving. It's similar but different. It was trying to resolve things more immediately, more in the public eye, knowing full well that no one's trying to go to like a court case 30, like well after the situation's over and no one cares anymore.
Right.
And the idea we were floating at the time was, and we never just didn't have the bandwidth for it, was to have hearings, like
Interesting.
akin to, how they have like congressional hearings where they bring like, so and so, like Mark Zuckerberg or like the TikTok CEO. You bring them in front. Is that they go there, they are sworn in, and in front of, in this case, our Congress, which would be like you, me, a one judge, well, like one justice, right? And SamaHead, you have to answer questions. And that the conclusion of it does not need to be, the conclusion of it can lead to an ACR, right? But that's like a higher step. But the biggest 90% of the problem is resolved because everyone learns what happened. Everyone learns why it happened.
That's very important.
And if it's bad enough, then an ACR. If it's even worse, then an impeachment, right? But most people become satisfied.
I wanted to do with Toga Tuesdays, a little bit. But yeah, I think it's the idea is very strong. I like the idea. I mean, so many of the issues San Andreas faces are lapses in communication and transparency, and anything that is possible. I'm sure you've dealt with the same issue where, you try to put something on Twitter a million times a day, right? To the point where you're like, I'm definitely annoying people by putting this on Twitter over and over again. And then you go to someone and you're like, yeah, so this thing is happening. And they're like, well, I had no idea. And it's crazy because there's state announcements, there's Twitter posts, people are talking about it, there's posters on the wall. And then, half the people you talk to are like, I didn't know voting was open. And it's like, there's an going on. That's crazy. And I think that that's gonna always be the case, but I wish there were more in the way of open forums for discussion.
I agree with you. Yeah, 1,000%. I do think that sometimes it's intentional communication, right? Like we've faced with some of this stuff recently is, I think there is real elephant in the room is being risk averse, conflict averse is real high. And hey, I need just
Hi, thank you for giving me.
Oh, no worries.
You need some more time.
Yeah, I need a bit more time. 15 more?
Yeah, that's fine. I mean,
All right.
I think only take like 30 seconds.
Oh, yeah. Go for it then. Sorry about that.
So like I said, I'm King of Bolingbrook. We're looking to see if we can get any officers down here for a work release. We only have 2 DOC members.
Oh, today?
Yeah, like right now.
I cannot make that happen. PD's not like at that level of control for me. But if you would need to contact PD directly and try to ask for that. I can try to reach Turner, but I don't think he's around on a Sunday. Aspen's around. Hello? Hello? Yeah. Well.
Just got an anonymous ping,
Oh, Jesus.
and it's to like middle of grapeseed, so I don't really know what's going on with that.
Oh.
My goodness.
I hope
Hey.
he doesn't get mad. I don't. Yes, sir. Sorry, I think our call disconnected. You know,
You're
these
good.
Verizon cell phone signals.
I would say, are you able to ask DOC to contact like the chief or the sheriff or a member of their command? Because
I
we
most
can't.
definitely can.
Easy. That's the best way to do it.
Right.
All right.
Sure will. Thank you
Yep.
again, Mr. Nino.
You-
And like I said, all of us will vote for you, sir. We believe in your call.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. All right. You take care. Bye. All right. God damn it. See, now the thread's gone.
My goodness.
Oh, right. I think a lot of people are conflict averse. It's easier to be mad in the corner. But being mad in the corner means letting those problems boil up. And when it's two separate entities or multiple entities, and eventually, you know, those entities meet back up after boiling, oh my God. Explosions.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, shit.
That is for sure the case.
All right. Well, shit. I gotta get out there, respond to these phone calls and whatever.
Yeah.
It's,
Oh, yeah. I gotta add some people to some panels.
oh, shit. All right. Well, let me know if you need anything. Yeah, Princess. And,
All right. Appreciate it. Can you bring me back to the castle?
100%.
Thank you.
No way!
I do think that we should consider pre-cooking the judge thing.
You mean the Grayson one?
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, why not
absolutely-
send it before the end? You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
So.
Is that one of the... Is Michael doing that? Or is that one of his... for it?
Transparently, I think me and him are sort of like chilling just a little bit.
Okay.
And then getting a priority list and then boom, boom, boom. I think